processing in ProTools. Now, there are two ways in which you might go about this. First is to use this AudioSuite route, which is a means of applying your process to a particular region or sound file that you have in your track. The other is to apply the process to the entire track so that everything on it has that process applied to it. So there is the distinction. The AudioSuite will apply it to a selected region or a selected series of regions, but not to an entire track, whereas applying it to as an insert, which I will show you in a minute, will apply it to an entire track. And there are certain circumstances where you might want to use either, and there are certain processes that will only work as one or the other. So let's investigate the AudioSuite one first. Say I've made a region selection. I'm just going to get rid of the rest of it because I don't need all of that. Actually, I'm going to make it smaller so they'll be able to hear what we're doing. So I've I have a small selection of sound that I want to process. Make sure it's selected, go to AudioSuite and then choose a process. Now, depending on the system that you are on, you may have different processing options than I have here, but there are some which are on all Pro Tools systems because they actually come with the package. That includes things like I think the 1-band and 7-band EQ, also things like reverb, deverb will come with it, delay, and various different types of delay in here which come with Pro Tools. So I will, I mean those are things you can investigate on your own. In some cases the parameters are fairly self-explanatory anyway, so you can work on those. But I really want to show you the kind of model for working with AudioSuite at the moment. So I'm going to choose deverb. So I click on that, and immediately we get a pop-up window which has a section here which is contains all the parameters for that plugin, in addition to a section above which is generic and comes with all the AudioSuite plugins, and a section below which is the same. It also comes with all the AudioSuite plugins. Okay, so this section in the middle is the plugin itself, if you like, and the rest is the kind of host environment. So I can preview the effect as it's applied to that region. Okay, so you can hear that the reverb has been applied. And I mean, I can preview it with the effect bypassed if I want to compare and contrast. I can do that. It's a little bit sluggish. Okay, so that's without, and that's with. And once I know, once I fiddle around with my parameters and I know that I'm satisfied with that, I can then press process and it will apply the effect to the sound. I'll do that in just a minute. Before I do that, though, I just want to point out this section at the top here. Now these determine how the effect is applied to the region. If you have, say, 2 regions, I'll just make 2 regions arbitrarily, and I selected both of them, I could create continuous file. If I put that on there, then it will create a single new document with the effect applied. So that's something I didn't mention, was that when you use AudioSuite and you apply an effect, for the most part, it will make a new file with the effect applied. Okay, that's not the case with the inserts that are over here. So you can choose that. You can also overwrite files, which makes it a destructive edit, which I don't recommend. So I would either create individual files or create continuous files, but whichever you use is up to you. It also determines whether the effect, once it's been processed, will appear in the region list, or whether it will appear in the playlist. Well, if it appears in the playlist, it will automatically be added to the region list anyway. But it determines whether the original file is left in the playlist and the processed file just appears in the region list or not. Again, I think for the most part you can leave the settings as they are in terms of their default mode. But I'm just pointing out that these can be changed in order to change the way AudioSuite kind of processes the file, or where it puts it once it's processed it. You also have up here a series of presets and means of saving settings and presets to the effect. So I'll choose just one of those regions. I'll get rid of the other one for now. I hope all of that made sense. Again, I don't think this bit is too important up here, at least at this stage anyway. So yeah, I want to apply the effect to this region. So I will press process and let it go. So it's done that, it's applied that to the process, and it's the new processed file appears in the region list with the suffix dverb on it. So you know which one is your processed file. Now I just want to point out to you now, if I, I'll choose a section of the thing to play back and just make an observation on that. Okay, so the AudioSuite now is irrelevant because we've already applied the effect, so I can get rid of that. Okay, so it's applied the effect just as we asked it to, but there's a very significant problem there, or what could prove to be a very significant problem, and that is that the process has been applied, and bearing in mind we're dealing with reverb. Reverb has a tail of however long you've set to be the reverb time. Now if you only apply the reverb to the selection or the region that you want to process, then of course that reverb is going to get cut off right at the end of that process. Now this could be a real problem, and this is quite a common problem when assignments are handed in, is that people have applied process but haven't accounted for the fact that there is, for example, with delay or with reverb, there would be a tail at the end of that process. So whenever I'm going to undo that, the effect application, so it's disappeared from the region list now. Whenever you apply a reverb effect or a delay effect or anything that requires a tail, always account for that tail by adding a bit on the end of your selection. So now if I go to AudioSuite and I choose to apply the reverb, I'll make it a little bit longer just to kind of emphasize the point. Apply that process, and now if I zoom in, it should hopefully be reasonably clear that that reverb has been applied, and so has the tail. Okay, so that reverb tail lasted this long, in fact probably a little bit longer, after the end of that edited region. So just bear that in mind whenever you apply an AudioSuite effect, or indeed if you apply reverb as a track effect and then you bounce to disk, because that's another occasion where people forget to include a little bit of extra space at the end of the track for that reverb to accommodate that reverb. So that's AudioSuite. There's not too much more to say about that. As I say, you can just choose a process from within that, and then apply that and it applies it to the region itself and makes a new region in the region list.